In every hero's journey, there comes a moment where they're called to face a great trial. And apparently my great trial was learning how to knit a scarf in 24 hours. So I don't knit, surprisingly. I don't know how sweaters exist. But I did give myself the quest to learn this ancient magic that turns string into warmth. The rules. I had to show my mom what I had created within 24 hours. If she at least gives me a not bad, I get to reward myself with a cozy, comforting bowl of ramen, truly the warm scarf of meals. But if my mother didn't bless me with a not bad, I'd be forced to consume 2x buldak fire noodles. A physical pain to match the emotional pain of knowing my scarf wasn't good enough. So the first thing I had to do was cast on, which is basically just getting the yarn on the needle. It sounded simple, just 2 words, cast on. Very friendly, very approachable. I almost tapped out right there. It just wasn't working. Who decided to make clothes with sticks and string? Who thought this was a good idea? But I've been playing a lot of A Link to the Past recently, and it reminded me of just starting the game. In that moment, you're not thinking about bosses or dungeons or secrets. You're not getting overwhelmed with all of that. You're just trying to learn the controls, trying to figure out which button you press to throw pots at the wall. And I had to remember that with my scarf quest. It sounds like a mukbang title. I couldn't think about finishing or how overwhelming it would be to get to that point. I just needed to get the yarn to stay on the needle for more than 2 seconds. And then, eventually, it clicked. I got the knots right, I got the tension right, and the yarn stayed where it was supposed to be. And in that moment, I started to have some hope. I was thinking, I could actually do this. Just like in Zelda. Once you learn how to throw pots, the whole world opens up to you. All right, so now that I had the basics down, the real adventure was about to begin. So after the chaos of casting on, something magical started happening. I don't know if the yarn gods finally had pity upon me, but it all started to make sense. I definitely wasn't perfect. I definitely still looked like I was carefully defusing a bomb made out of spaghetti. But once I understood the basic motions, everything opened up. I started making progress row after row after row. And that was kind of like facing new enemies in Zelda. Enemies that seem like their sole purpose for existence is to humble you. But once you gain the ability that you need, every time that enemy shows up, it's over for them. Blindness. You're getting blinded, baby. I don't panic anymore because I know how to handle it. I've learned their patterns, I have the equipment that I need, and I earned that momentum. That's exactly what knitting started to feel like. Once I learned the pattern, once I figured out those few motions that everything else is built on, suddenly the whole thing got so much easier. The challenge didn't disappear, but it didn't feel impossible. Sometimes I think in a lot of areas, it just takes that one breakthrough to change everything. And suddenly you start believing, yeah, I can actually do this. So at this point, I'm feeling pretty good. I've got momentum, I've got stitches. But then I found myself on the subway. I had a limited amount of time for this challenge, so using every opportunity to knit made sense, even if I was out in public. But I found that all of my confidence disappeared when I was on that train. I'm just there looking at my bag of yarn like it's some forbidden contraband. And in my head, I was just thinking, do I take this out? Do I actually knit here? What if somebody thinks I'm weird? What if they look at me and think I'm a weirdo? And I found myself in a position that I've been in so many times in my life. I was fearful of judgment from strangers. Judgment from people I would never see again. And the really dumb part about this is that none of these people care. No one's going home like, oh my God, you'll never believe what I saw today. What was it? A grown man knitting. The horror. Nobody cares. It's all in my head. And that's where Zelda comes back in. There's this part early on in the game where all people do is judge Link. They treat him like he's the villain. Villagers just scream and run away. But our hero does not let that get to him. It doesn't change the mission at all because it doesn't matter. He shrugs, keeps swinging his sword, and continues to try to save the world anyway. He just stays on the quest. And that's the lesson I needed right there on the subway. People judging me doesn't affect my mission. My scarf will not knit itself. Will it? Will it? My quest should not pause just because I might get embarrassed. So I pulled out that yarn right there on that subway. I took a breath and I kept going. I kept knitting. I did like 3 minutes of knitting before it was my stop, but it still felt like a win. So I hit a moment during this challenge where everything fell apart. Not even metaphorically, like literally fell apart. The yarn just slipped off of the needle. 1 second I'm knitting like a proud Victorian grandma, and then the next second it's all unraveling. I'm staring at this growing pile of pasta like a proud Italian grandma. And at first I was panicking because this wasn't just one stitch, this was a lot of stitches. But once the panic subsided, I took some deep breaths and realized, okay, I'd taken a bunch of steps backwards here. A lot of the progress that I'd made was gone, but I wasn't actually starting from zero because I had the skill now. And that reminded me of something that happened in the game as well. I beat Moldorm, a big, wiggly, annoying worm guy, after he smacked me off of his platform like 14 different times. I finally won, I celebrated, and I felt like a hero. But then the next time I started the game, I realized it hadn't saved. I had to fight him again. All this was happening on a live stream as well. It could have felt soul crushing, but it didn't, because I already knew the patterns. I knew how he moved, I knew where I was vulnerable, where he could knock me off, and I knew how to attack him, and I defeated him relatively quickly. Damn, you look stupid, Moldorm. That's embarrassing. It wasn't a repeat of the struggle. It was a victory lap disguised as extra work. And that's exactly what happened with the scarf. Yes, I had to undo a big chunk of it. Yes, it was annoying, but it's not like I had to learn how to knit again. The knowledge didn't unravel with the yarn. The lesson there was once you gain the skill, it sticks with you. Even when life throws you backwards, you can move forward more quickly the second time. So I picked my needles back up and I found my rhythm again. So after 24 hours of trials and tribulations as I explored the world of knitting, it was time to show my mom my progress. I was thinking, yes, it's rough right now. It is far from finished, but there's still a pretty good chance that she's going to give me that not bad that I so desire. But she did not give me the not bad, no. She laughed, and she absolutely roasted the color choices. My learn to knit kit did not do me any favors there. Mama was not impressed, which makes sense. She'd been knitting for decades, so seeing the basics wasn't going to be impressive in any way. This was like walking into the Lost Woods and just expecting the Master Sword to materialize into my hand. What the fuck? You get it because you earned the 3 pendants and navigated the Lost Woods. Those are the requirements. You have to go through the process, face the challenges, finish the job. Then and only then does the Lost Woods go, "Congrats, hero. You may have this legendary blade that shoots glitter." And here I was showing my mother a glorified shoelace and hoping for legendary status. I wanted the reward without the work, the tasty ramen without the scarf to back it up. This taught me something important. If I want victory, I can't act like I'm just going for the participation trophy. Some victories aren't things that you can just coast into, hoping that momentum takes you the rest of the way. In Zelda and in real life, I have to make sure that I earn it. Fully, completely. No shortcuts, no half-finished scarves. If you want the Master Sword, you have to do the work. So yeah, I did not earn the not bad, which meant it was time for the punishment. 2x Buldak spicy ramen. On the first couple bites, not terrible. Actually quite delicious. I was like, okay, maybe I made this challenge too easy. I can handle this. Maybe it won't destroy my soul. But then it hit, not all at once, but more like a slow, creeping doom. Every bite made the next bite worse. My lips were on fire. My tongue was filing complaints with HR. My stomach was like, hey man, are we good? And I realized that this is the same lesson that the game teaches you. When things get uncomfortable, confusing, a little painful, you have to keep moving forward. In the Lost Woods, you don't always know if you're moving in the right direction. Sometimes you swear that you've made progress only to find that you end up right back to where you started. Hey, aren't you the guy who robbed me a few seconds ago? But the only way to get through it is to commit and take the next steps. Push forward. Even if every part of you is like, this is a bad idea, turn back, go home, stop putting spicy fire noodles in your face. But I couldn't stop. No, every bite was another step into the fog. I wasn't sure how much worse it was gonna get, but I knew I wasn't gonna stop until I reached the end. And eventually I did. Was it pretty? No. Was it heroic? Also no. But it was persistence, it was follow through, and it was the Lost Woods lesson cooked into a bowl of agony. And even though this wasn't the victory that I wanted, it was somewhat of a victory because I finished the quest. So that was my 24-hour knitting challenge. I didn't succeed. I did not get the coveted not bad from my mom, and I had to pay the ultimate price of 2x spicy noodles that humbled me and humbled my entire bloodline. But looking back, I'm happy with this challenge. Every chapter, every mistake, every restart, and every little win, they all felt like a little side quest out of A Link to the Past. Struggling with the basics, getting momentum, pushing through fear of judgment, and even taking steps backward, all mirrored Link's journey more than I expected. And now I have this new skill. It's a shaky beginner level skill, but it is a skill nonetheless. Which means my cat Boulette, she better watch out. One wrong move and she's getting a sweater, maybe a hat, or some adorable leg warmers. She is not safe. But yeah, thank you for watching this video and joining me on this quest. If you enjoyed this, you want to hang out, consider joining the Discord. I want it to be a place where we talk about self-development, challenges, games, and whatever else your little heart desires. And if you want to support the channel and the videos I make here, check out the Patreon. I post bonus videos there, behind the scenes stuff. Okay, this was the knitting quest. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you at the next adventure.